You're watching TVC Breakfast. In this 61st year of Nigeria's independence, the country is grappling with an increasing state of insecurity, especially in the southeast, where agitations have intensified recently, leading to killings and attacks on security agents and structures. Anambra State has become a hotbed of violence. In the last string of attacks in the southeast, gunmen stormed the Department of State Services and the Federal Road Safety Corps offices in Nnewi, Anambra State, setting them ablaze. Eyewitnesses report the attack occurred around 1 p.m. It was gathered that when hoodlums stormed the offices, they overpowered personnel and set fire to the facility. Let's talk about those things right now, and I have security consultant with me here in the studio, Darlington Omoro. Darlington, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Good to see you.
Good morning.
Well, it's really a time of great concern for all Nigerians, not just those in Anambra State or in the southeast, but from all around the country. The reports we're hearing, and people are becoming really concerned. Now, but I wonder what you make of the consistent attacks in the southeast. We were thinking that when things like this happen, the security agencies will, swing into action to prevent, deterioration or recurrence, but it doesn't seem to be so.
Well, prevent if they have the security intelligence to note that that kind of thing was going to happen. But in the absence of security intelligence, how would you know? It wouldn't be a proactive matter anymore. It will now be a reactionary. Reactionary in the sense that they only go there after the incident had taken place. When you say everybody is concerned, I was taken aback a bit. I really could not place in my head whether truly everybody is concerned. And then if you say everybody, who are you really referring to that are really being concerned?
All right. We want to assume that everybody is concerned. Of course, I didn't speak to all Nigerians, but one way or the other, it's a thing of concern.
Yeah, it's a thing of concern. I want to appreciate that, but I don't think it's every one of us that is really concerned. Okay. Because if talking about concern here, when you begin to talk about the destruction of properties and human lives, and then don't forget that for every property you destroy, you take that generation backward, like 2-3 years backward. When you destroy lives, you take a generation or two backward. And then so what have you achieved? In the course of agitation, in the course of wanting to demand for what you're demanding, do you need to destroy lives? Do you need to destroy property? There are better ways of making your agitations felt. I do not believe that up until you begin to destroy properties and you begin to make some unachievable demands. Unachievable demands in the sense that not for you wanting to go your own way, talking about the Southeast now and IPOB, the ESN and all of that. I'm looking at it from the point of view where you have to even stop your children from going to write West African examinations. If you succeed in your agitations in taking over your region, you go. You cannot lead your people forever. It gets to a time when you hand over to another generation. If you deprive that generation of leadership qualities and education, knowledge, what have you done? It meant that you have formally destroyed the leadership acumen and tenacity that some of these persons ought to have bring to fore to help develop that region. That's one. Now, but when you begin to make demands as you do not want to see the national flag of Nigeria hoisted in any of these parts, anywhere you find them, they will be destroyed. You also forgot to add that Joe Igbokwe's house was also touched. I got a first-hand information from Nnewi yesterday where I talked with some persons who gave me information, first-hand information concerning the activities of the unknown.
They've become unknown now.
Unknown faces, unknown gunmen, and then yet they have toga, and they are still unknown. And then you talk about that you will not allow any elections to hold in Anambra. The thing is shifting to Anambra for now because elections are expected to come up in Anambra anytime from now. Don't forget again that in the same Anambra, just shortly after Dora's husband was killed, about a day after, the convoy of a member of House of Representatives was attacked, and the driver was killed at gunpoint. The police aide succeeded in running away. That was because the man was apparently coming from a political activity, suspected of having decamped to the All Progressive Party, the APC. Now, they say they want to cripple political activity. They don't want any political activity in Anambra State, and they want it to remain a Biafra territory or region. But how do you achieve all of that? Now, are you in unison? Those of you who are making this agitation, are you in unison with the leadership of the Igbo people? Who are the leadership? Who constitute the leadership of the Igbo people? You have the political leadership, and you have do I call them traditional leadership now? Well, talking about the Ohaneze Ndigbo. And then you also have
the social-cultural
leadership. God bless you. Thank you. That's why I like you. You always have a way of rescuing me in this instance. What is happening today in the Southeast? Yes, you have a right to agitations. And Mr. President, in his broadcast on October 1st, even though he mentioned that there will be zero tolerance to those who want to secede. He also mentioned that at times of trouble, this administration will rather go negotiating, in dialoguing, rather than apply force, in the face of it. Now, I think, well, we have not come to solutions yet, but I think what is happening in Anambra and the entire Southeast today calls for worry. Calls for worry in the sense that, one, it's hampering development. Today is another sit at home, Monday, and then they are proposing a 1-month sit at home. Now, they've been able to successfully instill fear in the people, such that, don't forget that on October 1st, some vehicles were burnt and some persons were burnt alive, from reports, allegedly from reports gotten. Now, the way it is, apparently, there's so much fear, palpable fear in the entire Southeast now, such that they know those days that have been declared sit at home, where economic activities are crippled. Now, when you cripple economic activities, the people suffer. There are people who depend on daily earnings. When they sell, they feed their families. Gradually, you are beginning to invite poverty to the lives of some of these people. Yes, your agitations are right. You are okay. You have a right to demand for a separate country you want to go, but the approach, is it commensurable with the demands of the people? Have you been able to speak in one voice? Has IPOB been able to align its demands with those of the sociocultural leadership of the Igbo people? Have they also been able to align that demand with the political leadership of the place? Are they speaking in block, as a block, as a body, as one? Now today, and then the approach of it, if you say Nnamdi Kanu must be released, are you saying if you have a body or a group or a country that certain things will not be addressed properly? To me, I do not think the killings of their own people and destruction of their own property in their own land is proper. I do not think I want to agree. As much as they have a right to negotiate, to dialogue over wanting to have a Biafra land, but is the country ready for disunity at this point in time? That is one disintegration, sorry. Is the country really ready for disintegration at this point in time?
All right. We've heard lots of persons say that the the national address on October 1st was a missed opportunity for the president to, speak to some of these issues in a way that will create some kind of inspiration or some kind of hope as to what government can do or should be doing that it wasn't doing before. Do you think it is a missed opportunity?
Well, I don't know if you've really had the privilege of going through Mr. President's speech or listening to it. Beyond
I read it and we listened to it from the beginning to the end.
Beyond listening to it, normally I like reading through and then line by line I look at issues. Mr. President addressed a number of issues in that speech. To me, it was not just like an Independence Day speech. It was almost like a speech delivered by a president when he comes on board for the first time talking to the people of the country. Because virtually every aspect of the issues concerning the country, Mr. President touched on in that address. But I think what the area people were really criticizing was the area he talked about Nnamdi Kalu and Igboho. Well, not tolerating anybody who wants to secede, from the country at this point in time. If you ask Mr. President to talk on virtually every issue, it will become boring. And then I do not know how many hours it would have taken. That speech on its own was already very long. Yeah. I think it was a summary of virtually
37 minutes.
That's, it's about the longest I have seen for some time. To me, it's like a summary of most of the issues that need to be talked about, which he addressed. Well, but except for the restructuring thing that he didn't really talk about. I think he talked from security to the economy, down to crisis here and there, and now COVID-19, everything, even Twitter. He also mentioned Twitter, how far they have gone about trying to bring back Twitter for Nigerians to, according to him, to help those Nigerians who are benefiting from the use of Twitter for either business purposes or for some other reasons. So I do not think that one day speech is enough for Mr. President to discuss in total every issue that concerns, because come to think of it today, whether you like it or not, somebody goes hungry to bed, it's Mr. President. Somebody's wife, is Mr. President. You are nodding your head looking at me now, it's Mr. President.
But the point there is, isn't that what you should expect when they're saying devolve power, decentralize, so that there are responsibilities.
Does it come in one day?
No. But the point there is, how do you set the motion?
Does it come from Mr. President or the National Assembly? You see, sometimes.
No, at this point, we all know. I had a guest yesterday who was saying that, you see, that in a presidential system of government, that the president is like a king. The president is like a god. Okay. The kind of power and influence that you wield over judiciary, over National Assembly, over anything is quite enormous. So that's the kind of power or influence or clout that the president has in the presidential system of government. So when you're talking about the National Assembly, what is the National Assembly different from the federal government?
Let's get it right, my brother. Let's get it right. In a presidential system of government, it's called democracy, and in that arrangement, the government is divided into three arms, where each of the arms is supposed to perform certain functions limited to them.
Ideally,
yes. Anywhere in the world, there's no ideal system of government, not even from where we copied it from.
Yeah, but
the truth is, the truth is, Nigerians are agitating for specific things. This government has just barely 2 years to go, less than 2 years to go. But the truth is, has the government really, beyond insecurity, addressed the demands of some of these people, which is almost becoming national? The answer is neither here nor there. Let's be frank. the structure, the way Nigeria is structured at the moment, is it favorable? The politicians in total, are they helping the country called Nigeria and its people? The political parties, are they really there for the interest of the average Nigerian or for their own personal or selfish interest? It begins from there. The clamor today, many are saying that the way power is shared, offices are shared, is tilting towards one direction. And they have every fact to buttress that. Now, as a government, what have they done to the yearning and aspiration of Nigerians, the average Nigerian? Now there's a problem, there's a lacuna that is helping fanning insecurity. Those problems apparently, have they really or truly been addressed? But even so, if those problems are not really, have not been addressed, a government does not last for more than 8 years. You have the power, the same power with which you brought in that government, to say bye-bye to that same government political party and then bring in your choice of party. But the bigger problem is not the government, but the bigger problem is the electorate. Those who vote are the ones who are having the bigger problems.
Why? Why are they the bigger problem?
They are the bigger problem because now all of us are making noise. We are talking. When it comes to election, it will still go the same way. We will still also follow the same path and pattern. Why is it so? Power is in the hands of the electorate.
Ideally.
Those of you who vote, you are the one agreed that you do not have power to suggest whom you are going to vote for, because that is a limited power given to political parties. They may decide to say we want to bring out a particular candidate for presidency. You, the electorate, have you been able to sit within yourself and think and say, this person, within the limitations of the persons they are giving to us, who is the best? And then who do we vote for? So, at the end of the day, the same set of persons you complained about will still come to ask for your vote. They'll still be the one to go into power.
All right. Well, it's quite troubling, but these trends are some of the social-political, let me put it that way, social-political economic realities that mix is very difficult to unravel if we have to, look at it on the face value. But let's come back to our issue. Now, a situation where there's a consistent trend of attack on security outfit, security facility, security structure, and it seems they succeed every time they want to conduct things like this. What does it portend going forward in the eyes of earlier you were saying failure? Let's call it speed and not a mere farming implement. Failure. Intelligence not there, surveillance absent. That is what it is. From, like you rightly said, a reoccurrence of a particular matter, particularly the attack on security facilities that are not too many, as much as you have residential buildings across the country. If they cannot be protected and there are no intelligence reports to show that attacks will come on those facilities, or a way of protecting those facilities, then it's a failure on the part of the security agencies. Apparently, let's not pretend about it or over it. There's no point. Agreed that the security agents and the military for now are overstretched. They are meant to face, or they are dragged into several issues of armed robbery, issues of kidnapping, issues of terrorism, issues of banditry, issues, just name them. They are spread across all of that, but they also know, particularly in the southeast, the attack. I draw you back to something. When Boko Haram started with Mohammed Yusuf, what they were doing at that particular time was attack on security facilities, particularly the police stations. If you remember, if you can recall. Now, if there is a trend, I expected that the security agents
the leadership of the security agents, particularly the office of the IG, all of them by now should have been able to fortify security around those facilities. But are they overwhelmed? It's a question nobody has been able to provide us with answers to. Are they being overwhelmed? As much as you have the facility of the DSS or whatever you call them was also touched. As much as that, the house of Joe Igbokwe was touched. FRSC was touched. So which one is next? It didn't start today. It's been on. I think, Mr. President, I've said this, the Southeast governors have a lot to do. Ohaneze has a lot to do in this matter. Don't forget that the Southeast governors, the other time, came up with their own security outfit. Ebube Agu, to counter the ESN. When they say they don't want the ESN, where's Ebube Agu?
Well, the idea of the ESN, sorry, the idea of the Ebube Agu was actually a way of replicating what Amotekun is in the southwest, one way or the other.
How much have you heard of them?
Give
me an instance.
That's another discussion altogether.
If they are supposed to assist the security agents, perhaps in providing intelligence in terms of activities that are not supposed to be there.
Okay. Well, I assume we may have to assume that maybe they're going through a period of training before they begin to operate one way or the other.
I beg your pardon.
But we have to
say it again.
No, I'm just saying. Okay. Let's leave it here now, darling, to tomorrow.
No, I just wanted to because I didn't hear you, so I wanted to be sure what you said.
Thank you so
my
much.
brother, let's be frank.
So sorry, we don't have the time anymore. Okay. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Really, thank you. There's so much to talk about when it comes to this, but we'll certainly, as time goes on during the week, I know we'll certainly find time to talk again. Thank you so much.
May God help us.
Amen.